thought maybe there was another way I could explain what I've done or what I'm aiming to do with the help of a bit of cardboard. So if you picture this as the tunnel in the chassis of the MR2, this is where the fuel tank is. Driver might sit here or here, depending on how you look at it. The handbrake mounts go between the two sides of this, and to some extent will stop flex. And I've removed all of that, so essentially under heavy cornering circumstances you might get a bit of this going on. So the pieces I've made are essentially to replace that and stop things going wibbly wobbly. Here's one I made 10 seconds ago. Something a bit like this, and I mean it's cable ties and a bit of cardboard, but it kind of shows the concept. And even though it's cable ties and a bit of cardboard, minimised wibbly wobbly. Let's see how it turns out. And so this week on how little bench space can you cope with, we're going to have a look at these carbon fibre braces I've made for the underside of the MR2. They are meant to be different lengths, you can tell, hopefully. I've got an aluminium plug in the end of a carbon fibre tube. It's very strong, just take my word, and then rose joints in the end. And the idea for this came when I removed the handbrake and all of the cable supports and the braces that run underneath the tunnel, and I thought the chassis might lose some cross brace strength, and what's the best way I could re-input that, and maybe even have it applying force to give a bit more stiffness and rigidity to the chassis, whilst being lighter. The handbrake and all of the associated gubbins was 5 kilograms, just over, in fact, about 5.3. So I'll go off camera and weigh these now and come back, and we'll do some crawling underneath and try and install. Join me under the car. It's pretty dark. I also can't believe it's May because it's bloody freezing. I've just weighed these. These are 1 kilogram. Both of them combined is 1,033 grams. And that point there is going to be one of my mounting points. That's also the spreader plate for the bucket seat, the racing bucket seat that I've got in. That'll go across to this point, which was one of the original cross beams that held the rearmost handbrake cable, the one that the two cable just kind of carries through. And then shuffle forward some more. So maybe it's better on this point. This point, which is quite difficult to see, which is where the pivoting handbrake, oh there he is, the pivoting handbrake cable went, where it joins from one handbrake cable joined to the one that you pull with your hand to the two that go towards the back of the car, and that goes over there. It'll look better in a second, I promise. You can see it's installed there. It's not quite in fully yet. So I've got a left hand thread at one side and a right hand thread at the other, and I've just adjusted, and you can actually hear, you could hear the chassis kind of creaking as I was putting pressure against it. And then I'll lock it off with the lock nut at each end. I don't want to put too much on. This carbon fibre is so strong. I'm going to install the other one and see if it takes any of the slack off this one, and then nip them both up.
I'll get a better angle in a sec when it's not going to break my neck, but that's them both installed now. And as I extended this nearest one, this is the rear, extended this one by twisting it as far as I could. I could hear all kinds of creaking from the chassis as it kind of pushed it, and then I went back to the front one, which I already had extended as far as I could, and I could get like almost a full turn on it again, and got more creaking. So it's definitely pushing the two halves of the tunnel away from each other, hopefully giving us a bit more rigidity. I'll try and get a better shot of it. Like I say, I'm in quite an awkward position at the moment. And now from a much more comfortable position of just under the side of the car, that's the front brace. In between the two, you might just be able to see this bung here. That's where the handbrake cable comes through originally. It actually comes down to a pivot point, which is in this position, and then sends backwards through the carrier, which is here, which takes both handbrake cables back towards the back of the car. On this point, this is actually where I've come through with my seat mount, and then I have a spreader plate. So hopefully we've saved 4 kilograms and kept some chassis rigidity. Alright.